Thank you so much, dear students. Now, with due respect, I would like to request the Honorable President of today's program, Chairman of the Department of Information and Communication Engineering, University of Bradley, and Organizing Chair of ProCon 2025, Professor Dr. Hasna Humaira, to kindly deliver her speech.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, honorable guests, respected speaker, and distinguished participants. It's a great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the IEEE 2025 International Conference on Signal Processing, Information, Communication, and Systems, ProCon 2025. We meet at a time when the fourth industrial revolution is transforming the world around us. Artificial intelligence, automation, data-driven decision-making, advanced signal processing, and smart communication systems are reshaping industries, economies, and societies. As these technologies continue to advance, they create new opportunity as well as new challenges. ProCon provide a vital platform for researchers, engineers, and students to explore these developments, share innovative ideas, and prepare ourselves to play a leading role in this rapidly changing technological landscape. My heartfelt thanks to go to the IEEE Bangladesh section and the IEEE Signal Processing Society Bangladesh chapter for their continuous support, guidance in organizing this prestigious event. I also extend my deep appreciation to our host institution, our the technical committee, and all organizers, sponsors, volunteers whose tireless efforts have made this conference possible. A special thank you goes to our keynote speaker, authors, reviewers, and session chair who have contributed their valuable time, expertise to enrich this conference. To all the participants joining from home and abroad, your involvement truly makes this ProCon meaningful. Finally, we also hope you will enjoy the beauty of our Green Russian University campus and the charm of Rajshahi city, one of the cleanest and most peaceful places in Bangladesh. This is the first time we have hosted an event of this scale. So if there are any shortcomings, we sincerely request your kind understanding. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your inspiring words and for your leadership in hosting this conference. Now, with due respect, I would like to request Professor Dr. Imamul Hassan Bhuiya, Chair of the IEEE Bangladesh section and the organizing chair of the ProCon 2025 to deliver his speech.
Good morning. Distinguished participants and honorable guests, including Vice Chancellor of Russian University, Pro-Vice Chancellor Administration, Dean Faculty of Engineering, General Chair and Technical Chair, and also the IEEE Chair and Chairman, chairing this session, inaugural session. Thank you everyone, and Assalamu alaikum and good morning. So very brief, the IEEE Bangladesh section has been organizing this conference, International Conference of Signal Processing Information and Communication System for the last several years, biannual. But this year we are going to repeat it, and I would like to thank Russian University and as well as Department of Information Communication Engineering to come forward and help us to organize this conference in such a very short time. The section also volunteers work very hard. Professors they work very hard. Also reviewers work very hard to organize this conference. And the topic of this conference is signal processing and information communication. They're all interrelated. So we are now in the point of technological revolution. To 5G, 6G, everything is coming forward, and technological the whole world is going to change. And with this respect, all these four subjects are actually co-players, co-partners to shape the nature of this change. This technological revolution is going to change the whole lives in the coming next 10, 20 years. Many things will change actually. And in this respect, I think this type of conference will help us to bring young minds and bring the research into international arena so that they can display the research results. Some of them actually may be presenting for the very first time their findings. So I welcome them and encourage them to interact with each other, to network with each other. Actually, conference is for bringing researchers together so that they can network, so that they can know what is going on in other parts of the world, in other universities, other institutions. So this is what I hope the to proliferate the technology, the education, the knowledge, to spread the knowledge so that the entire humanity is benefited, and it also creates the runway of technological innovation. To develop their skill, their research spectrum, and also increase the reputation of our institution, especially Russian University. So thank you everyone for giving us the opportunity to hold the conference here. We have this whole day, so I hope you'll be all engaged in this, especially today, because today is going to be our own physical presentation. So I hope everyone will be engaged and will network with each other in the sessions. And tomorrow we'll have questions and sessions. So thank you everyone for giving us the opportunity for holding the conference here. And we hope to organize similar or impactful events in future with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words and your leadership in organizing this conference. Now, I would like to kindly request Dr. Sheikh A. Fatah, Chair of the IEEE SPS Bangladesh section and Professor of the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, and the Chair of the Technical Program Committee, 6CON 2025, to deliver his speech.
Thank you, Honorable Distinguished Vice Chancellor of Russian University, Salihar, and Pro-Vice Chancellors, and distinguished guests on the stage. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So really, it's an honor for us from IEEE Signal Processing Society Bangladesh chapter. So this is one of the largest chapters in Bangladesh. And if I talk about the IEEE Signal Processing Society, it's more than 75 years. 1948, it was established, IEEE Signal Processing Society. 1 year back, we celebrated 75 years celebration. So you can imagine all the renowned scientists all over the world, they are involved with this Signal Processing Society. And I'm very fortunate that our conference is organizing by this particular department. You see the name of the conference itself, it's at Signal Processing Information Communication and systems. So information communication is very common. That's why I was very delighted at the very beginning. So it's very relevant to the particular department, and that's why we got a wholehearted support by all the faculty members of this particular department. It's not an easy task to organize this conference. Uh, Briefly, if I tell, when we organize the conference, we see only maybe less than 100 people are attending a conference. Behind the scene, for this particular conference, around 800 people are involved. If you see how, around 600 authors. And sometimes I'm surprised to see the authors from Libya, from Germany, France, Canada, USA, I mean, around 15 countries, USA, Canada, we have our, students are there. So we can expect papers, but in this conference, we received papers from 15 different countries and reviewers. So we try to incorporate reviewers from home and abroad. So active reviewers, 126 active reviewers. So that's why it's not only the accepted papers, because only 40% papers were accepted. So around 387 papers were there. And finally accepted, registered, and presented 158. So it's about 40% papers. So I believe the papers, in terms of quality, we all the technical program committee members, we try our level best to maintain a certain quality. Each and every paper was reviewed. It is a blind review. So, I mean, the reviewers, they cannot see the name of the authors. It's a blind review process. At least 2 reviewers reviewed the papers. And then the technical program committee separately reviewed each and every paper by TPC to take the final decision. So this is the first screening step. And now we are facing new challenges. You all know that not only the authors, also the community like us, we are heavily dependent on AI. So that's why previously we were just concerned about the so-called plagiarism. That means whether people are taking content from other papers. But now we have to also consider another thing, AI. So how much content is AI generated? How much content is AI generated? So that's why the load is huge. I'm very much grateful to all the reviewers and technical program committee members for their volunteer effort. As I said, 126 reviewers, they reviewed this conference. And also, I must thank our technical program committee chairs, Professor Dipankar, and technical committee secretary, Professor Golam Rashid. So without their support, it's impossible to organize such a big conference. So this is just about the conference few information. I inspire you all to join the Signal Processing Society. If you say why we should pay for IEEE, because from this conference you can see the keynote speakers, 2 of them are the vice president of this Signal Processing Society. They are IEEE fellows. Actually, you can see our keynote speakers. The advice and when we request them, hey, they are big professors. We are organizing a conference, so can you deliver a keynote speech? So the thing is that when the listen, yes, Signal Processing Society is there, very active, they gladly accept, okay, I'll deliver a talk. So due to the shortage of time and different other issues, they couldn't come physically. But hopefully next time we can get more physical presence by the keynote speakers. So I inspire those who are IEEE members, please join the Signal Processing Society. We regularly organize, we call it winter school, summer school. So the new topics are coming, emerging topics are coming. This conference also we have a workshop on generative AI signal processing, how the signal processing is moving from their old stage to now this machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. So that's why this society is no more just restricted to signal processing. Its area is now very vast. I invite you all to join this particular signal processing society and contribute to our next year conference. Thanks to Russian University, particularly this IC department, all the faculty members for their support, and all our reviewers. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your informative, encouraging, and insightful words. At this phase of our program, I would like to request Professor Dr. Celia Shahnaz from the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, and the Honorable General Chair of the SpaceCon 2025 to deliver her speech.
Thank you, moderator. You are doing wonderful. Good morning to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Chief Guest, to the Chief Patron of this conference, our Vice Chancellor, sir, and our other delegates, including our ProVC, sir, and especially the leaders of the conference, who is chairing the session, and our organizing chair, who is the section chair, and who is technical program chair, who is actually sir, our unsung heroes. And in front of everyone, all are our unsung heroes. This is important. So this conference to all of you is just a conference. To me, it's a vision, mission, and passion. In 2029, when I thought about launching the signal processing based conference, then I had a feedback that in our regular weather conferences, how many papers of signal processing sounds? 30 and 40 papers. When I receive feedback and collect feedback, now you want to join, launch a conference that is just equivalent to a track of the general conference, I want to do it. What is your feedback? Would you please support me? So that day we started with, in 2029, few papers, 50 submission. Then next 150 submission. Next 200 submission. Now it is fourth version, close to 400 submission as technical program chair. So I request all the generation, although it started in 2019, but I want to see its 100 years. And I'm not giving a flashy speech because you people are here and you got more opportunities than me. So I did not get that opportunity that you are getting. So you will not be starting from the scratch. You are the ambassadors who will take it forward for years to come. This is the expectation from me. That's why I'm doing the conference. And make it visible to the rest of the world that Bangladeshis stay in Bangladesh can do something which is noticeable. As our technical program chair says, this is the first society of IEEE among the 39 technical societies and 8 councils in the world. It was Audio Signal Processing Society. From there, it came broader. And there are many chapters in the whole world. How many chapters are doing such signal processing society related conferences? Very few. That's why after inception of this conference, within 1 year, our chapter got certification. Even Beijing and many European chapters did not go. We are certified chapter. And next is our section, our parent organizational unit. Without a parent organizational unit, a chapter cannot form. So after forming, they try to work very independently because it is our nature. So it is really important for IEEE to work collaboratively so that we don't start from the scratch. That's why I was also, when I was chair, when it was inception, then I was the section chair, like Professor Mohammed Sunita. I thought that let us build a culture where the parent organizational unit and the chapter will work together. together rather than starting from the scratch. Resource should not be shared. Unfortunately, we have very low resources. And then if we break into pieces, our resource will be very limited. So that's the concept of collaboration between IEEE Bangladesh section and signal processing. And why we did it. Next, broader vision. Out in 75 years, in 2024, in 2025, Signal Processing Society has the biggest flagship conference ICAS in Hyderabad. In such a big India, where we have only 4,000 members, India has more than 60,000 members. Still, they waited 75 years to hold a first flagship conference. They have countless numbers of fellows of IEEE. We do not have a single fellow of IEEE living in Bangladesh. So I really want to request you the way you are dedicating your time, treasure, and talent. The point I tell the treasure, everybody wants ranking, but we are getting very less funding for our travel grants and for our registration fee. That's I'm telling that our authors who are dedicating their time, talent, and also their own treasure for their publications. We are lucky that we are here. We'll be listening from a vice chancellor who cares about citation. So we do also care about citation. We are blessed to have it here. So we will continue that so that every one of you talk about citation, every one of you talk about papers, every one of you talk about achievements so that we do not need to wait for 75 years to have a Signal Processing Society flagship conference here in Bangladesh. It looks like challenging, but I can tell you it is not impossible. So doing this joint conference with a greater vision is not just a conference to me. It has a huge underlying vision, and you are the ambassadors for implementing this vision. The root level authors. I feel excited when I see a girl student from Managing Engineering College and presenting the paper and getting the best paper award. You really don't know how I feel. I know you are feeling the same thing. I just got the opportunity to articulate. Then our reviewers. You really don't know. They don't get any money. In 2015, I started to give them a certificate. And I feel so excited. This professor in their social media just post the certificate. You don't know how small the recognition is, but we started it. But still, we want to do more, like their senior member elevation, by their award nomination, by their HTN Honor Society nomination. This is the way we can bring value to your life. And mostly, we will appeal to our university leaders. We will inspire our university leaders to be IEEE members because IEEE is not for triple, IEEE is for all. So that they work as a role model for all of us. And we will not never ask a question why we do IEEE. It is an ocean, and we want to jump into the ocean where we can swim very efficiently. So I want to thank you, all leaders of this university, starting from Professor Halida Madam, our Dipankar, Rashid, Sajjadur Rahim sir, our publication chair boys, Tawhid, and everyone here who are sitting, and forgive me if I could not utter your name. But I express my sincere gratitude to every one of you who contributed, and your impact is very much meaningful. Let us work together so that our every movement, our every body language is impactful for the new generation. This is my appeal to all of you. Thank you once again to the ICT department of this university. And I'm feeling excited that Russia University, so many papers will be published in the IEEE Explorer, and I will be giving somewhere a keynote of somebody will refer to that conference. Somebody will cite that conference, that this conference was held in Russian university. They don't understand IEEE CSE like this. They don't understand Kuwait, nothing. They understand Bangladesh. Let us uphold the honor of Bangladesh. Thank you, our chief patron and our honorable professor who has spent their valuable time to come here and listen to us. It's a great honor to talk in front of them. And it's an honor that you have given me an opportunity to share my thoughts to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your encouraging, insightful, and acknowledging speech. Now, I would like to invite our honorable special guest, Professor Muhammad Fariduddin Khan, the Honorable Vice Chancellor Academic, University of Rajshahi, to deliver his speech.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, and honorable dignitaries sitting on the podium, and our respectable teachers, researchers, students, very good morning and assalamu alaikum. It's a matter of honor to be here, to stand before so many intelligent scientists and people. You are really our asset in a sense that we see that once upon a time, people just thought about the geographical area. So that if you have huge area, that means you are more potential for the development. But later on, we just come to know that technology is very vital. You should look into the Singapore or Japan or other countries which are technically very advanced, technologically very advanced, they developed. But nowadays, I see that now it's that the people who are really know how to process signals, how to make them as information, and finally, how to communicate with others. And they are the potential for the future development in our current world, I see. You see that several years back, a huge amount of dollars has been stolen from our central bank. So they were sitting somewhere outside of the country and they stole our resources. You see that. This is negative in a negative sense, but at the same time, in a positive way, we can think that people sitting at the ground and they are handling what is happening in the universe, what is happening in the space. So that's actually innovation that scientists are you did that. I think that so at this moment, I think we have a huge potential because Bangladesh has huge numbers of young population. So if we can just learn them how to use this technique and how to utilize that for the development, I see that there is a huge prospect for Bangladesh. So and you were working for that. So I really appreciate for your efforts. And so this conference, as recently our host said that our guest said that yes, it is actually the platform that will just you will share your innovations, you will come to learn new ideas. So and from that you can just be inspired and work for make you better and make you prepared for the future. I just want to share my own experience that I was in the Netherlands for my master's degree. So one day I was sitting in a conference, and that day I noticed that some economists from other universities, other countries, if they presented something, it is actually I was just interested on that topic. So and then I shared with my supervisor that I would like to work on that, and he just said that yes, you can do it, and I did that work and I just use that ideas and I collected data from Bangladesh. So he did it somewhere else, but I usually use that method and I collected data from Bangladesh and then that paper was published to one of the renowned journals in economics. This one so that's sort of platform and which we can utilize for our own purpose. So that's the way actually. So that sort of platform actually gives you some opportunity to learn from others, and you can just compare your position at where you now compare to your colleagues from home and abroad. So that we can society or the country And one simple point I would like to mention was that people to go far back to the prehistoric time. At that time, that using how to use the tools, how to use the stone as a tools for to just spray the animals. That was the one turning point. Prehistoric time. And later on, they discovered how to just use the fire, and that was the turning point at time. I see that in the current historic current time, how to utilize the information, that is the turning point for futures. That you don't know where we are heading. You see that you can just give one comment as this information for future prospects. That's very intelligent job. So that you can do it as a sort of involvement and engagement. So thank you for in giving me an opportunity to talk to tell something here. So I wish all the best for this international conference, and thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable and insightful speech. At this stage of our program, I would like to invite our honorable special guest, Professor Muhammad Mainuddin, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Administration, University of Rajshahi, to deliver his speech.
Honorable Chairman of this session, Chief Guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Science and Music, Super Guest, Professor Academic, Professor Khan, our guests from different universities, and participants of this seminar, our colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This information and communication engineering departments becoming the popular in the whole university. Once upon a time, statistics and mathematics, these subjects becoming popular in the arts faculty, social science faculty, and business faculty. But nowadays, these information departments are becoming popular and day by day taking the place of statistics. My department name was Department of Accounting. Now our department name is Accounting and Information Systems. In our university, the Department of Library Science is becoming Information Science and Library Management. So information science are becoming a place in the various department. And whenever we define accounting, we say accounting is an information system to produce and process some information for the interested users. So we are also in the information, and we teach some courses like accounting information systems, management information systems, and one course is business communication. So I think these departments are dominating the university, and from the speech of our guests, we understood the position, and ma'am also make a comparison between the progress of India and progress of our position actually. I think by arranging such types of seminars like other seminars and conferences, also our researchers get the very good feedback and get the networking opportunity among the researchers, and the research and university will develop each other. So hope for the best. I think this event will be successful. And with these few words, I would like to conclude my speech. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging and insightful speech. Now, we come to the most awaited part of this morning's program. It is my honor to invite our chief guest, Professor Dr. Saleh Hassan Loki, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Rajshahi, to deliver the inaugural address and formally inaugurate SkitsCon 2025.
Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning. This is the international conference on signal processing, information, communication, and systems, 2025. And today, in this opening ceremony, we have our special guests and distinguished researchers, experts, students, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to be present here. And I was just looking at the banner and I found the words signal processing, information, and communication. And I was just thinking, what else is there? I think this is what we do, and this is what we'll keep doing in the future. Because always we are concerned with information and communication, but to get meaningful information, we need to process the signal. Unprocessed signal often looks like noise, and to extract useful information, what you need is signal processing. There are techniques like spectral density estimation, and there are other ways of extracting information from the signal. And this is paramount importance because if your information is right, if it has been distilled in a proper way from the jumble of signal, which, as I said, sometimes look like noise. And if I talk about science as a whole, then this from time immemorial, what we're doing is we are actually recognizing the pattern. So whatever be the branch, we are actually all in the business of pattern recognition. All of the nature, there are patterns hidden. The basic thing is pattern recognition. And then to formulate that framework to describe all those patterns. That is what we all do. We are working in the branch of science. So in that respect, today's conference is very important because it actually touches the core issues in science and technology. I would request the participants, especially the students, to take this opportunity to learn from each other. And I also urge all the participants, again, especially to the students, don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. All questions carry some intrinsic value. So never be afraid to ask questions, learn from each other, form links with each other, find ways of collaboration, and be actively engaged in research, because this is the most rewarding part in this is very personal opinion. If you are learning, if you are learning new things, if you are broadening your knowledge base, then you are really on the path of a very good life. And this may sound philosophical, but this is what I believe, and this is I believe all my life. So again, I thank the organizers, the sponsors, and all the people who are involved in making this conference and making it a success. I congratulate them all, and I again hope that this conference will be a big success, and this will continue for the future. And there is no other way. We need to learn, and we need to progress, and we have to do anything which is required to be in the mainstream, and we cannot really lag behind. There's no scope for that. So I would like to conclude by saying that again, I'm very happy to be here. I wish I could spend more time here, but that will not be possible. So best wishes to all. I hope your stay at this conference will be very beneficial and very happy and fruitful then. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring inaugural speech and for kindly gracing this occasion as our chief guest. May I now request you, sir, to formally declare 2025 open.
During every speech, I had a feeling I will forget something. And this happened once again, which was my duty to formally declare this conference open, and I am doing so. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, SIPSCON 2025 is now officially inaugurated. Let us give a big round of applause again. Now it's time to honor our guests with crest of honor. Now I would like to request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to the organizing chair, SIPSCON 2025, Professor Dr. A. Imamul Hassan. Thank you, sir. I again would like to request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to the honorable chair of Technical Program Committee 6 2025, Dr. Sheikh A. Fattah. Again, I would like to request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to the honorable general chair of SpeaksCon 2025, Professor Dr. Sia Shahnaz. Now, I would like to request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to our special guest, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Academy, Professor Mohammad Furiduddin Khan, University of Rajshahi. Now, I would like to kindly request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to Professor Mohammad Moinuddin, the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor and Admin, University of Rajshahi. At this moment, I would like to request our honorable chief guest to hand over the crest of honor to the organizing chair of SpeaksCon 2025 and the chairman of the Department of Information and Communication Engineering, University of Rajshahi, Professor Dr. Halida Humaira. Now, I would like to request the Honorable President of today's program to hand over the crest of honor to our Honorable Chief Guest, the Vice Chancellor of University of Rajshahi, Professor Dr. Saleh Hassan Nafi.
একটু পরে ছবিটা তুলে দেখ।
এই বসির ভাই আসেন। এই বসির ভাই আপনার সকাল থেকে ঘুম হলো আপনার? এই আরিফাস, ওইদিকে বেশি রাশ, এইদিকে চলে আসো। চলে আসো, চলে আসো।
Dear audience, please take your seat.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah,
Ahmad?
fine. How are you?
I'm a few minutes early. Should I join
Yeah,
back later?
yeah. Our opening ceremony is going on. There we are delayed a few minutes. That's
Okay.
why it was delayed. So please allow us few more time so that we can start our first keynote session.
Okay. So how long will it take? Just to give me an idea.
In 5 minutes, I
Okay,
think.
perfect. No, I'm
Already,
earlier than time.
opening session is closed already.
Perfect. Okay, then that's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. হ্যাঁ উনি কারণ লিঙ্ক তো ওইটাই এখন ওটা ম্যাডাম এটা তাহলে এখানে সেট করে হ্যাঁ এখানে দিন কোনটা কই দিন না না আমরা এটাকে তাহলে সরিয়ে দিই হ্যাঁ না 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 চলবে এইটা চলবে ওটা চলবে এইটাতে কোনটা ওপেন করে জুমে চলবে আমি লিংক দিব জুমে জয়েন করব শুধু বুঝতে পেরেছেন আচ্ছা এখানকার ইয়ে কি পাসওয়ার্ড থেকে সেটা দেন কারণ আমি এটা আমার মোবাইল দিয়ে চলতে পারবো না আমার কল আসতেছে এটা কি ওপেন আপনাদের ওপেন না আচ্ছা দেখি ওপেন এখানে তো আপনাদের আগে হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা এই নাই মনে হয় এখানে আপনাদের আমি ওটা কানেক্ট করতেছি আপনি ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং ফ্যাকাল্টি গ্যালারি এডমিন আছে এই যে আপনার সিএল ল্যাব 3 আছে গেলাম গ্যালারি এটা না এটা এটা মোবাইল ফোন কারো সামনে ফ্যাকাল্টি গ্যালারি তো আছে না আরে বাবা নাম দিছে এটা না এটা ওই গেল কোনটা মানে হ্যাঁ তুমি আমি রেখে দিচ্ছি Okay.
সবাইকে একটু অনুরোধ করছি কেউ না নিয়ে রুম লিভ করেন না প্লিজ। আর কেউ যদি ডাক্তার না পেয়ে থাকেন কাইন্ডলি একটু ইনফর্ম করেন যে আমি ডাক্তার পাই নাই আমার দিয়ে দেবো। আর এখানে কিনোট স্পিকার হবে, আপনারা সবাই এখানে বসে থাকবেন কাইন্ডলি। এখানে কিনোট সেশন হবে, এখানে কিনোট সেশন হবে। আপনাদের আপনারা সবাই এখানে করবেন, নাস্তা করবেন, আমাদের কিনোট সেশন 11:30টায় এখানে শুরু হবে।
আমরাও করি ও হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ নাম তো এই আরো আগে শেষ করতে হবে আছি আছি চলে আসছে থ্যাংক ইউ শুরু করি আমরা শুরু করি এখান থেকে হ্যাঁ না ওই যে বলা এখান থেকে করতে হবে আচ্ছা আমি রেকর্ডটা চলতেছে এটা কিন্তু লাইভ হচ্ছে
Hello, Dr.
Hello.
Imran. Are you
Yes.
hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hmm?
সাউন্ড হচ্ছে না
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, I can hear you very well. I hope you can
Oh,
hear me as well.
Okay, thank you. So, dear audience and participant, we'll start the first keynote session. In this keynote session, we have two keynote speakers. So the first speaker is Dr. Muhammad Ali Imran, Fellow IEEE. So Professor Muhammad Ali Imran, Fellow IEEE, IET, and Fellow RSC, and many other prestigious bodies such as EAIE, IAAI, ACEA, is globally recognized expert in wireless communication system. He graduated from Imperial College of London with MSc distinction and PhD. He is the head of James Watt School of Engineering and also lead communication sensing and imaging research, have over 100 researchers in the area ranging from advanced wireless technologies to energy efficient communications. Professor Imran and his team spread global advancement in the area of communication systems. His pioneering contribution in self-organized cellular networks and energy efficient communication are widely cited and adopted in standards. Leading a prominent transitional education initiatives, he represents the Scottish higher education internationally. With over 25 years of academic and industry expertise, he holds pivotal roles in multi-million funds projects and technical bodies in international levels. Additionally, is a consultant for international project, fora, and industrial firms on self-organized networks and 5G or 6G technology applications. Their audience is today's talk is technology for digital inclusion, connecting the unconnected. So I am requesting Dr. Muhammad Ali Imran for delivering his talk. Actually, he will be given 30 minutes for talk and 10 minutes for question and answer. So please welcome Dr. Muhammad Ali Imran by giving a big hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the respected chair. Thank you very much, all the organizers, for giving me this opportunity to share my research with you all. Can I just confirm if everyone can hear me? Okay?
Yes, we are
Yes.
hearing you.
So my topic today is global digital connectivity and inclusion, connecting the unconnected. Thank you very much for a very detailed introduction, so I don't have to go through any introduction points anymore. I directly delve into my research topic, and this presentation is based on one of our very well received paper in research community, which is exploring the boundaries of connected systems, communications for hard to reach area and extreme conditions. This is a paper which was published in very prestigious location of IEEE, which is Proceedings of the IEEE, and it's already gaining a momentum on good citations. I am the first author of this paper. So, very briefly, I would introduce how we have ended up in producing this work, because we have a very live testbed of a 5G living campus on University of Glasgow locations, where we have more than 14 base stations deployed outdoor as well as indoor to cover our traditional as well as new campus, where we test use case, metropolitan events, built environment, and mobile health. And we also have world-class facilities on hardware characterization and testing and validation of different physical or hardware components like antennas, RF chains, and other physical layer components of wireless network, ranging from regular frequencies to millimeter wave and terahertz frequencies as well. So we have a living lab for testing both wired as well as wireless technologies. We are following the legacy of the great scientist Kelvin, who was one of the principal of University of Glasgow, and who was one of the pioneer in connecting two continents with a telegraphic cable. So he pioneered wireless communication in his time. We are continuing his legacy to progress the wireless communication research. And one of the great emerging application of wireless communication is connected and live immersive environments. Environments which will allow people to participate and experience learning opportunities as well as tourism opportunities from a distance. And this can only be enabled with very high productivity, very high throughput, and low latency communication in the system. We are also doing all of this 5G and 6G work to enable in future Internet of Skills, where people can deliver their skilled jobs and responsibilities from a distance. And this requires tactile feedback. And that tactile feedback can only be enabled by end-to-end high reliability, ultra reliable, low latency communication. And finally, one of the main focus that we have in our labs is to move to a proactive healthcare. So connecting different senses. People have been able to communicate both the visual images as well as sound, as you are experiencing my visual image as well as my sound from a remote location, but people have not been able to communicate other three senses like touch, smell, etc. So in order to communicate touch, we are working on both the physical infrastructure of sensing and actuation, as well as ultra reliable low latency communication as well. In addition, we are working on using RF waves not to just communicate data, but also to sense data, just like radar does. So with this, we will be entering into an era of joint communication and sensing, and some people call it integrated sensing and communication, or ISAC. And the most important part, which is the topic of today as well, while we are moving from 4G to 5G, 6G, we should not miss our blind side, and we should not leave the unconnected people ignored. We have to connect the unconnected, because the digital divide or connectivity divide is mother of many other divides, like healthcare divide, education divide, opportunity divide, economic divide. So we have to make sure that everyone is included when we deploy these future connectivity solutions. And this is the topic of today. While doing this is very important that our research can be translated into commercially viable products. So we have to move from just inventions, as many academic institutions do, to innovation as well, where these inventions actually generate financial and economic benefit. This is the only way how your technology can reach the masses and the end users at a mass scale. So we work on both technology readiness level 1, 2, and 3, like many other academic institutions do. But then we work closely with industry to translate this research into higher technology readiness level up to technology readiness of 7 and 8, from where the industry picks this up and commercially exploit it. I don't have to go through the justification of why we need all these generations and why we are moving into 6G now. This has been a trend. Wireless communication technologies, based on demand as well as based on new use cases, has been evolving over the years for better and better connectivity as well as throughput solutions as well. Okay, so the outline of the technical content of my presentation is as follows. I will very briefly go through the state of global connectivity and challenges that limit connectivity for everyone. I will present to you some technical solutions, and I will present to you two important use cases where connecting the unconnected becomes a challenge. One is hard to reach areas, areas which are physically remote, like for example in Bangladesh, remote hills in Chittagong, or many other remote locations, or communications for extreme
এটা তো
conditions.
এখানে দরকারই নেই, ওটা তো ব্যাক এন্ডে চলছে। আমি তো স্ক্রিনশট দিই, আমি তো স্ক্রিনশট দিইনি। এই যে কাজ করেন,
Sorry, my colleagues, can you hear me very well? I can hear the other side.
কোথায় তো বলি এটা এটা আমরা পাইছেন ফাইল দাও আছে, ফাইল দাও আছে।
Sorry, can I double check if everyone can hear me? Yeah.
সরি,
Okay.
প্লিজ কন্টিনিউ।
Yeah, so the other important use case is communication for extreme conditions. For example, very remote locations like Antarctica or deserts, or where the temperatures and other physical conditions are very extreme, and it's very difficult to provide communication there. This also applies to disaster scenarios. For example, a big flood or an earthquake, where conditions are extreme and we still want to provide communication infrastructure. Very briefly, some use cases, and then we will conclude. So, looking at the digital divide, I have already introduced it, so I don't want to dwell too much time on it. But digital divide is mother of many other divides. As I said, it can lead to economic divide, opportunity divide, job opportunities divide, education divide, and so on. So it's very important to overcome it. And it's important that digital divide is not just between wealthy and poor, or urban or rural, but it's also between old and young people. It's also between able-bodied and disabled bodies. So we have to reach everyone in order to provide them with the benefits of connectivity. So there are challenges, political challenges, where political will and support to connect the rural communities or poor communities, economic, because the business model for connecting the remote areas is not very viable, social, because some of the segments of the society are not ready to be connected, and technological, and this will be our focus, the unavailability of different adopted solutions which are cost effective and business viable in order to provide connectivity in all environments. The root cause or bottom line of all of this is operator's balance sheet. If it makes money, then they will connect you. If it does not make them money, then it's very, very difficult for them to provide you communication infrastructure. However, there are some motivation for these commercial mobile network operators to provide you connectivity in remote areas is because they can claim spotless coverage claim. There may be some government regulatory targets that they have to meet, and they can also advertise add-on services and verticals in rural areas in order to make money out of it, and this can help them to have a claim of seamless connectivity for urban commuters as well, who sometimes go in those remote areas as a tourist. So, however, the negative side of this is it's very, very costly and expensive for them to provide connectivity in remote areas. It's energy inefficient, and it requires higher maintenance costs because they have to send engineers in remote areas in order to maintain the network. So, all of this leads to higher cost per customer or lower average revenue per user for them to provide connectivity in rural areas. And if we rely on analysis Mason report as well as other reports, the bottom line is that 33% of the cost is in operational expenditures, and within that, two major costs are energy efficiency and human resource maintenance cost. So, two major costs to run a network: capital expenditure, the expenditure that you have to purchase the network and deploy the network, and then operating expenditure, the monthly expenditure that you have to spend on trying to maintain this network. Both of them, they have to be reduced in order to connect the unconnected people. So, how to reduce the capital expenditure? We have to bring the capital expenditure down by providing frugal hardware. By frugal hardware, we mean hardware which is cost effective, which does not cost too much in order to run the system, to first purchase and buy it. And then the software defined radio, because this is adoptable. You don't have to throw away hardware once new technology comes. So you can just upgrade it using upgrade of the software. Spectrum is very expensive, but UK government, for example, or local authorities in, for example, Bangladesh or other countries, they can provide viable terms for providing spectrum access in rural areas as well. And finally, open radio access networking provides a modular solution to provide cost-effective and cheap hardware. Okay, bringing the operational expenditure down, you need to bring the energy efficiency, you need to bring up the energy efficiency so your energy bills are down. You have to have more intelligent solutions or automated solutions in order to reduce your human resource cost, and then you have to find other ways of reducing your day-to-day cost. Now, coming back to the original problem I posed, so this connecting the unconnected is very important in two aspects. One is connecting the unconnected people because they are in remote locations, hard to reach areas. Hard to reach areas are rural areas or geographically located areas. For example, highlands and islands in United Kingdom are a location which are very remote, less people dwell in it per unit area, and they are physically, geographically disconnected from the mainland. Similarly, extreme conditions where people are unconnected because of either weather or temperature or many other extreme situations, or this could be a disaster. So, one solution, as I said, the root cause is to bring the cost down. So, frugal access has to be provided, cost effective access has to be provided. And this can be done by bringing down cost in terms of optimizing the network. So, artificial intelligent self organized networking is a solution. User centric design, where you're not over engineering your system, you respond to user demands. Green networks, where energy efficiency is the main focus of the networking. Low cost spectrum, where spectrum is available at no cost or a very low cost, and then backhauling the network using, for example, satellite and other solutions at a cost effective way. So In order to have frugal networks, three important areas: energy efficient systems that will bring down the operational expenditure, self-organized cellular networks, AI driven networks that will bring down the human resource expenditure, and finally open and modular hardware that will bring down the capex or capital expenditure of deploying a new network. So first, AI driven energy efficient operation. So, in order to do AI driven energy efficient operation, we have to understand where energy is being wasted. And doing extensive surveys and a very well cited paper with more than 2000 citations, we have provided a framework to evaluate energy efficiency of any cellular network at modular level. Look at this diagram. You can see that base station is broken down its subcomponents like main supply, cooling, DC to DC, baseband, radio frequency, power amplifier, and we try to highlight in these four diagrams different base station types: very small macro cell, very small femtocells, picocell, larger microcell, and very large macrocell, and how different components consume different percentage or fraction of energy. And you can also see that on an x-axis we have output power, and on the y-axis we have the actual power consumed at the main supply. And from this we can see that as RF output power increases, the supply power also increases. But unexpectedly, when RF output power is even zero, the power consumed at the mains for which we pay the bills is not zero. And this is because air conditioning is still running, many systems are still on standby. So we have to make sure that this point here goes to zero or as close to zero as possible, like this graph. And this is done by making more energy efficient power amplifiers, RF systems, and being able to switch off some of the systems when they are not in use. So there are other ways of making the system more energy efficient. For example, the deployment of the system by having a mix of large and small cells, by management of the system by making different parts of the system go to sleep mode, especially at night and low load scenarios, changing the sizes of the cells by changing the tilts of the antennas, and doing radio resource management by using different segments of your resources, different segments of the spectrum, or different energy efficient, different power allocation levels on different OFDMA subcarriers. You can optimize the use of your wireless networks. And finally, looking at out of the box solutions, adaptive backhauling, multi-hop device to device communication, and so on is another way of saving energy. The second most important one is AI driven self-organized operation. And self-organization can be subdivided in three main areas, where you have self-configuration. You deploy a network, it configures itself like a Wi-Fi router. Self-optimization, where over the time network learns on inefficient use of a spectrum or inefficient use of different resources and optimizes itself. And then finally, self-healing. If something goes wrong with the network, you do not have to send expensive human resources to go and fix the network. Network auto diagnoses and then auto corrects its failure. Self-organized networking, how a typical cellular infrastructure works. You have to do drive testing, you have to then offline optimize the network, and then change the network parameters, and then send engineers to go on top of the powers, on top of the towers, and change different parameters. But with self-organized networking, you can save money as well as save time by doing this through an automated manner. For example, your mobile handset can collect all the information, and then both performance analysis and parameter calculation is automated. And then you don't have to send engineers on the poles to change parameters like you can do that electronically. For example, you can steer antennas, phase array antennas, and so on, in terms of sweeping their beams. All of this not only saves money, but more importantly, it saves time and converts the network into a self-organized network. You must also bring down the cost of the network, running the network, by making the network more modular and open. So that you can increase the reusability of the network, you can reduce the energy efficiency and the carbon footprint of bringing in new components in the network. Now, focusing very briefly on hard to reach areas and what are the challenges related with communication in hard to reach areas. Infrastructure barriers. In those remote areas, you do not have enough infrastructure. No, you sometimes do not even have power grid in order to provide a continuous source of energy. You have geographical barriers. For example, some islands are separated from the mainland, so it's not easy to reach there. Human resource challenges. You have to send expert human resources, but it takes long time as well as large amount of money to send them and bring them back. So unreliable power grids can be one main challenge. So having energy efficient networks which can run on green energy or generate energy generated from natural resources is renewable energy solution is one of the main possible way of overcoming this challenge. Then there is some importance of stakeholder involvement, for example, government, international organization, private companies, and then making partnerships with local communities as well, because it at the end having connectivity also benefits them as well. So the example initiative I will discuss later in my slides as well. We have done a project with the help of UK government investment to connect one of the very remote locations in UK with 5G, even before city centers like London and Glasgow were connected with 5G. So this has happened through collaborations between different NGOs, ISPs, and other places. And we have done this in Africa through our research collaborators and partners as well. So digital divide and overcoming that digital divide, I've already mentioned, helps us in economic impact of connecting those people who are in remote location. So technological solutions for hard to reach areas, we need to provide backhauling using satellite communication, but satellites have high latency. LEO, low Earth orbit satellites, they bring down the latency to some extent, but still they are satellites and they have few milliseconds of latency. So having high altitude platforms can bring it even further down. The second important one is low power, long range communication systems for IoT applications, because a lot of communication use cases in rural areas are more like Internet of Things use cases rather than streaming videos and so on. And finally, using spectrum more efficiently. TV white spaces can be deployed in order to connect these places. So these all makes most cost effective, low cost solutions in order to provide connectivity, both through low Earth orbit satellites and high altitude platforms. High altitude platforms can be, for example, a hot air balloon that provides connectivity when you are overcoming digital divide while a disaster has happened, and it bridges the gap between terrestrial and satellite communication infrastructure. The second challenge was communications for extreme conditions, like for example, extreme temperatures, dust, humidity in dust in, for example, deserts, humidity in areas where there is too much rain, and water impact. All of these, they impact the system performance, and attenuation of signals is severe in these weather conditions. So physical hazards like earthquakes, floods, and other natural disasters also affect the infrastructure, and communication becomes challenging in these extreme conditions. So technological resilience is very important for these. For the weatherproof hardware is important. Ruggedized designs are important. Signal processing techniques to overcome weather inefficiencies is important. So we have looked at solutions like free space optics, where interference is low, but free space optics is very susceptible to weather conditions. So we use self-organized networking to optimize the parameters, the operational parameters of free space optic point-to-point communication systems in order to overcome those challenges. And finally, one other solution we have used is non-orthogonal multiple access, because this can help us pack up more users in the given same spectrum to provide better efficiencies. Redundancy and resilience is very important in extreme conditions, because if one network goes down, there should be something as a backup. Instead of using one link failure and one weak link, we use mesh networks so that there is redundancy built into the system. And for disaster recovery, we have designed portable pop-up type networks which can be deployed on demand, and emergency communication systems for first responders mounted on their first responding vehicles like ambulances and fire brigade vehicles is another key solution. Last but not least, role of AI and machine learning in connectivity is very important, especially in extreme conditions, because parameters of operation have to be changed on the fly on a very little short notice. So that's why AI is paramount in network management, as well as it is used in extreme conditions to adjust in real time the parameters of operation on based on environmental factors. So I'm conscious of time. Within next 4 or 5 minutes, I will now go through some case studies. So these case studies we have done with through our partners who have deployed these networks, designed these networks. So no credit I'm taking out of their work. I'm just presenting this as this is part of our paper that we have published. So, for example, we have deployed through our partner. We have deployed a network in Arctic region where it operates in very harsh environmental conditions. There are extreme and long periods of darkness and isolation. It's very difficult to send human resources to maintain these networks. But this section had no mobile connectivity, with many annual visitors for doing experiments or exploration or tourism, but they had no connectivity. So solution was installation of first off-grid network which runs on solar energy, and all of this, both the solar power generation system as well as the communication system, has to be cold resistant and snow resistant, right? So this gives us insight into management of spectrum licenses as well in those remote location, where we try to deploy the principle of share it if you're not using it. So mobile network operators who have bought a license for global use, if they are not using it in those remote locations, they should allow community driven networks to share that license as well. So free space optics was used for point-to-point connection through free space optical communication telescopes. And then microwave was used for point-to-point communications as well to provide high capacity wireless backhauling solutions. And this provided us insight into a mix of software defined radio versus commercial off-the-shelf solutions that we could buy and deploy. We have also deployed a peri-urban network in South Africa where a strange phenomena happens. In the city center, where everyone else is enjoying very high connectivity, we have areas of deprivation. We have areas where, because of the affordability cost of the wireless networks, there is very low uptake of wireless connectivity. So there we provide low-cost free space optic solutions through a mesh networking, where affordability, scalability, and communication support becomes a key enabler to connect these unconnected people. These unconnected people use solar powered wireless communication infrastructure using community networks and then local content caching platforms to provide them, for example, news services or other highly used or exploited services which are already cached in local environment. Finally, or semi-finally, we have some remote and rural connectivity in Brazil, for example, where high cost of spectrum license was a barrier. So high cost of equipment with limited coverage was a barrier. So solution was to exploit unlicensed technologies such as TV white spaces, as well as exploring concepts such as radio over fiber in order to provide better connectivity in the solution. So this has provided a prototype 5G range network. Use of intelligent adaptive cognitive radio technologies has enabled optimization and deployment of this network. So there was a lack of reliable internet access in rural and isolated areas of Venezuela as well, and political and economic instability was further limiting the infrastructure deployment. So there we used long range Wi-Fi networks in order to provide connectivity, because although it's not equivalent to 5G and 4G communication, but it provides good connectivity solutions to connect the unconnected in those regions. And this increased the digital inclusion in underserved areas, as well as strengthened the local economies by enabling online business activities as well. In Africa, in Malawi, lack of medical practitioners, especially in remote areas, by providing connectivity, installing low-cost broadband radios as well as antennas. In those areas, we installed redundant backbone to improve the system reliability as well. This provided health professionals the connectivity they need to serve these underprivileged areas for vital medical applications. And the end-to-end throughput of this low-cost system that we deployed in Malawi was 40 megabits per second across a very long range of 167 kilometers. Finally, this project I mentioned very briefly, the Orkney Islands in Scotland, which are one of the remotest locations. So Orkney is ranked 96th out of total 96 areas in UK for their mobile coverage, and we connected it using 4G advanced and 5G connectivity. This is a collection of around 70 highlands, which is out of which only 20 are inhabited with only 22,000 people. And these islands are spread over a range of 80 kilometer in a linear range, which makes it very difficult to operate in this area. So we provided a rural connectivity toolkit where local communities can not only secure spectrum, they can procure hardware infrastructure at low cost, and then they can make arrangements to maintain and run this network at low cost using volunteers from their local communities. So bringing this down to a conclusion, the case studies that I have presented, they show that there is a significant need for inclusion in digital connectivity. We have to connect the unconnected. And then the focus areas in order to enable this connectivity is frugal technology for positive business use case. So you have to bring the cost down, both for buying the network as well as operating the network using new technological solutions like energy efficient solutions, self-organized networking, as well as Open RAN, Open Radio Access Networking, modular hardware, software-defined radios, and so on. So I presented some of those technical challenges and their solutions, but I also shared with you some use case demonstrations globally where we have seen the translation of our research ideas into an practical deployed system. So highest gains that we could achieve are through modular design of this system, energy efficient operation of the system, and automated zero touch, human free, self organized networking and operation of the system. So the study from cases, the conclusions from the case study include there is a need for connecting hard to reach as well as hard to serve areas. And the focus areas are these systems or these solutions should be scalable, affordable, and resilient. And there should be an encouragement for collaboration with local communities for future innovation as well. So all of the details of this work can be found in our paper published in Proceedings of the IEEE, exploring the boundaries of connected systems, communications for hard to reach areas, and extreme conditions. And with this, I bring it to a close. I hope I am not run over time. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm open to answer any questions the audience may have. Thank you. And just to let everyone know, the other side is muted. So if anyone has any questions, please make sure that we have at least one unmuted mic so I can hear you.
Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you now. So.
Okay, thank you, Professor Imran, for your interesting talk. I am requesting the audience for any question. Okay, please come here. And Professor Asnat Kobir is a professor of the Department of Information and Communication Engineering. Is like
Thank
to
you,
ask a question.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for your nice presentation. Just I would like to ask you one question. I found that this is very interesting what you are doing.
Thank you.
So my just query, you have considered a lot of constraints in environment. So how about the fog conditions? In Russia, we saw some in winter, a few days of heavy fog, and even in night and whole night, even in morning. So have you considered the fog condition for your communications?
Yes. So very good question. And I did mention very briefly that one of the biggest challenge for extreme conditions, we put this in category of extreme condition, is weather. So any changes in weather affect the channel quality, especially in free space optics, free space optical communication, fog, or just after rain, the environment has some suspended water droplets which change the channel quality, significantly degrade the channel quality. So that's why self-organized networking on AI-driven solutions are really important, because they must be able to identify that there is a change in channel quality, And then we have to deploy advanced signal processing techniques in order to overcome that decrease in channel quality. So because I mentioned that we have to operate in a energy efficient manner, so imagine in normal conditions, we may be operating only on one single link to maintain a throughput. But as soon as channel quality goes down and there is fog or any other environmental impediment, then you have to switch on the backup networks. For example, you may have to go from free space optical communication to a backup microwave link, or you have to switch on multiple free space optical communication links so that you can maintain the same throughput over multiple parallel channels in order to continue your operation. So that's why both detection of environmental impediments as well as corrective action or change in either signal processing technique or in adding additional links to overcome the loss becomes necessary. I hope I understood your question correctly and answered it. Happy to answer any follow-on question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Okay, thank you, Professor Asnad Kabir. So any other person? Sorry. Okay. Professor Azad.
Thank you, Professor Imran, for your nice presentation. So talking about communication in extreme condition, just before your keynote session, there was a moderate earthquake in our capital city, Dhaka. So, when earthquake happens, maybe all the network topologies may go down. So can we think about any other backup plan for this extreme condition or any other natural disaster?
This is an excellent question, and we did work with the University of Malaya to test a disaster recovery deployment system in Malaysia in response to any tsunami, for example. It was a project funded by Global Challenges Research Fund, GCRF, and the main idea was how we can use temporary airborne networks to provide wireless connectivity in the event of a disaster. So, for example, you can deploy a radio unit, a backup radio unit. We call it a pop-up network. So you can deploy it on a small drone. When I say small, it should be able to carry enough payload, like for up to 20 to 30 kg payload, which makes it a large size drone. So you must be able to deploy these drones to create a formation. They don't have to be airborne. For example, they can actually go and mount themselves on temporary physical infrastructure, but they have to be self-organized because they go and deploy radio access points in different locations, but then they have to auto-configure themselves to be able to provide cellular coverage in that area. The backhaul or the backup connectivity of these drones has to be through satellite as a temporary solution, right? And these could be LEO satellites, or these could be further airborne infrastructure like high altitude platform, hot air balloon or something. So the network that I'm describing still takes 15 to 20 minutes to deploy, even if everything is ready as a backup, right? So there are some temporary, very, very instant solutions as well, which can be used as a backup to switch on in case of a disaster. But of course, they have to be designed based on the principle of principle of dual use and resilience through backups. So, for example, you can have LoRa-based IoT type of infrastructure, which switches to mobile frequencies only for sending SOS messages. So you cannot make phone calls, you cannot make data calls, but you can still send SOS messages through that backup infrastructure. So these are some of the ways to provide connectivity in extreme conditions in response to a disaster.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Imran, for your nice presentation. Actually, we are running about the time. So
thank you.
We would like to conclude your session here. Thanks again for your nice stuff.
And I'm very grateful to everyone, including listeners as well as the hosts of the event. Thank you very much. And it will be a bye from my side.
Okay, thank you. So our next keynote will be. So and now we will like to give a token of appreciation. So please Hands. Slides. Next. So our next keynote will be shared by our Honorable Professor Saria Shanas. So I'd like to request him to share the next session.
Thank you, Professor Dipankar Das, Technical Program Chair of this conference. It is a great honor to invite Professor Rambilas. Professor Rambilas has received his PhD degree in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur, and he has postdoctoral fellowship from France, assistant professor of at Communication Research Center at Hyderabad. He was assistant professor, associate professor, and professor now at IIT Indore. And since 2023, he was a visiting professor of different universities in the world, like Italy, Malta, and then Berlin, Germany, and then Malaysia, and different universities in UK. His research interest includes signal processing, non-stationary signal processing, speech signal processing, biosignal processing, brain-computer interface, artificial intelligence, IoT in healthcare, machine learning for signal processing. He has received 27 PhD supervised, 27 PhD theses, and is currently supervising 9 PhD theses. He has delivered more than 300 talks and lectures in conferences, workshops, short courses, and whatnot. He has authored different textbooks. He has 386 publications and 247 journal articles. Others are conferences and books and book chapters. He has also 11 patents, including 5 granted. And also he has citation more than 20,000, which age index 78, such a great honor to know him. He is a fellow of IEEE, Indian National, and also Indian National Academy of Engineering, IET, Asia Pacific Artificial Intelligence Association, Institute of Engineers and Telecommunications, and Institution of Engineers, India. He is IEEE EMBS, Engineering Medicine Biology Society Distinguished Lecturer 2025 to 2026, an academic mentor for EuroSIP Academy. He has associate editorship of IEEE Transactions on Neural Systems and Rehabilitation Engineering from 2021 to 2024. Currently, he is associate editor of Electronics Letters, IEEE Weapon Journal of Engineering in Medicine and Biology, Computers, Electrical Engineering and Biomedical Signal Processing and Control. He is also serving as Deputy Editor-in-Chief in IET Journal of Research, handling Editor of Signal Processing and Editor of IETE Technical Reviewer Journal. It's a very short thing what I read. He has a lifelong contribution. Over to you, Professor Ram. I know you were having a keynote in Ahmedabad, but it's a very short notice. You have really dedicated your time for us. It is really give us a great honor that staying so close to us, you have achieved so much. And it's really an example for us. Thank you. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for nice introduction. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this conference and to deliver this talk. Thank you very much. Let me share my slides. Are you able to see the slides? Okay, slides are visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So good morning, everyone. So today's talk is on advanced signal processing for EEG-based epilepsy detection. This is the overview of this talk. First, we will see transform, and then we will see Fourier transform. Then there are certain limitations of the Fourier representation that will be highlighted, and then we will see motivation for time frequency representation, and then empirical wavelet transform. And recently, our group has proposed multivariate empirical wavelet transform that will be explained. And after that, we will see its application for detection of epileptic seizures from electroencephalogram signals. And in the end, conclusion will be provided. Actually, transform is one of the very important part. And if you see in most of the areas of science and technology, we get actually signals and transforms are everywhere. So in general way, we can define actually this transform, convert signal from one domain to other domain, and they are suitable processing of the signals we perform. And then actually after doing that processing, we come back in actual domain. So well-known domains, they are known as time domain and frequency domain. So there are many applications of the transforms, but here I would like to highlight some of them. They are important applications. The transform provides certain information about the original function of the signals, what are the different frequencies present the signal, which is the major frequency, which is the minor frequency, which is corresponding noise, which is corresponding, all these kind of information we can get from the transform. Transform may help us to solve the differential equations. So when you have a low order differential equation, conventional method can be used. But when you have high order real life systems, they require high order differential equation, then actually we need transform to solve them. And transform can provide data compression, and storage may require less memory. So like the selection of the basis function is very important part. And by selecting such suitable basis functions, we can actually have less number of coefficients in transform domain, which help us to represent a signal with the less number of coefficients. Last, one of the important application that is actually, it is easier to apply in transform domain without actually without assuming any conditions on time domain. So we go in other domain like a frequency domain, and where a lot of actually algorithms can be implemented without depending on time. One such example is convolution operation. So without assuming any causality condition, you can implement it in a transform domain. The first actually the well-known transform that was proposed in 1807 by Joseph Fourier, that is actually known as Fourier transform. So it represents this complicated signal in terms of simple functions, sinusoidal functions. They are periodic with respect to time. In the similar way, like a prism decomposes white light into simple colors. So this white light, actually we cannot see any different frequencies, but when you decompose it, you can see basic colors. That is actually like prism. So similarly, Fourier representation also, complicated signal can be represented in terms of simple functions. And in terms of those functions, we can actually interpret signals in very nice manner. So it was proposed in 1807, and this was actually it was reviewed based on the internet source by the Lagrange, Legendre, Laplace, and they were very popular professors of that time. But they were actually having some concern about the Fourier's work. Was Fourier was representing these signals, they were not periodic, aperiodic signals in terms of periodic functions, and Fourier was using negative time, negative frequency in the signal representation. But in real life, actually, signals we have positive time and positive frequency. And he was actually trying to represent signals in terms of complex functions. In most of the real life signals are real. So due to all these actually concerns, they did not recommend his work for publication. And after 15 years, 1822, Fourier's work was finally published. In 1995, then Cooley and Tukey, they developed fast Fourier transform FFT, and people wanted to use this signal processing in the computers, machines. So in Fourier transform, there are two basic operations: analysis, synthesis. So analysis, actually, you can see with the equation on the left hand side here, we are integrating time from minus infinite to plus infinite. So there is no time in the frequency domain. And similarly, in synthesis process, we are integrating this signal actually in frequency domain with respect to entire frequency. So there is no in the time domain, there is no frequency. So when you have frequency domain, there is no time, and when you have time domain, there is no frequency. So this time domain and frequency domain both are mutually exclusive. And in real life, actually, signals, most of the signals are non-stationary. So we actually use mathematical models to represent the signals. If any of the parameters of the signal is changing with time, then we call them non-stationary signal. If all parameters are constant with respect to time, then we call them stationary signal. So when you have non-stationary signals, then actually Fourier transform is not able to represent them. And that is that actually this is one of the major limitations of the Fourier transform, because it can tell you what are the frequencies present in the signal, but it's not able to tell what time, what frequency is occurring. So this is one of the example here. You can see this is stationary signal, so it is mixture of two frequency components, and this is non-stationary signal. It is concatenation of two frequency component, and frequencies are same. When you apply Fourier transform in the frequency domain, you get the same kind of frequency domain you are getting, but signals are different in time domain. So this is actually, we don't know the spectrum is corresponding to this signal or non-stationary signal or stationary signal. So due to that, actually, in order to overcome this limitation, we also want to have time domain information together with the frequency domain information. So that actually gives the worth of time frequency representation. So this is also known as time dependent spectrum analysis, joint time frequency analysis. And that actually, the first time frequency analysis technique that was proposed in the literature, which was short time Fourier transform, STFT. So what we do actually, we divide the signal different segments, and each segment we assume that signal is stationary. Then we apply Fourier transform, and arrangement of this Fourier transform gives us short time Fourier transform, STFT. So mathematical expression we can see in this slide, and xt the signal that you want to analyze, w the window function, and you can see this now together with window. This actually is complex exponential kernel. We can consider like time frequency basis functions. So when you integrate this entire operation, then left hand side you can see STFT is a function of time and frequency. So this actually converts time domain to time frequency domain, or one dimensional signal to two dimensional. So this STFT is a complex quantity. For representation purpose, we take a square magnitude of the STFT, that is known as spectrogram, and the Gaussian window gives you the best like optimum time frequency using STFT. So that because Gaussian is a Gaussian other domain, it has same nature in time domain as well as in frequency domain. So then when you use Gaussian window, then this STFT is known as Gabor transform. This is one of the example. Here two examples we can see: speech signal, linear chirp signal. This is MATLAB. When you speak MATLAB, signal looks like this, and chirp signal when you generate chirp, it looks like linear frequency modulated signal. Now there are two kind of spectrogram: narrowband and wideband spectrogram. So it depends on the size of the window function which you use for analysis. So if you use wide analysis window, then it is narrowband spectrogram, and if you use wide narrow analysis window, then it is known as wideband spectrogram. Narrowband spectrogram gives you good frequency resolution. Wideband spectrogram gives you good time resolution. So depends on your application. Actually, one can select narrowband or wideband. And here in STFT, we don't actually, once you have selected window function, then you don't have choice to change it. It is fixed for entire analysis, whether you have low frequency component, high frequency component. But when you have signal has low frequency component, then analysis of the window size is required that to be large. When you high frequency component, then selection of the window size should be less. So that actually that flexibility is not there in the STFT, and also we don't know which window should be used. There are many windows, so there is no thumb rule to select the size of the window and type of window. So that actually there are many windows in the literature: Wurtlet, Willigman, Baumann, Chebyshev, Hamming, Henning, Kaiser, rectangular window, triangular window, Gaussian window, and these window size is also linked with the associated by the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So this duration delta t, that duration of the signal, and delta f, that is bandwidth of this window or whatever, like this. And both actually multiplication should be, we want to have as less as possible, but that is not possible due to Heisenberg uncertainty. They are always greater than equals to 1/4 pi. So the equality is actually for Gaussian, and inequality for other kind of wavelet, other kind of window functions. So this, according to this, time resolution and frequency resolution cannot be high at a time. So then actually this wavelet is this flexible window, and where according to concept of scale, we can actually select the size of the window. So when you have low scale, then you have a window that is narrow in time domain, that is good for high frequency components. And you have to large scale, that is actually window is wide in time domain, that is actually suitable for low frequency components. So that multi-resolution analysis can be done. And this is one of the example, like selection of the spoon depends on the type of the food. So if you want to have noodles, then use fork. Similarly, when you want to have good continuous well-behaved food, this is not continuous food, then use well-behaved spoon. So if you want to have discontinuous food, discontinuous scale, a spoon is used. Similarly, selection of the scale depends on the type of frequency. So if you have low frequency component, then we use a large scale, and when you have a high frequency component, then we use low scale. And this continuous wavelet transform actually resolve the problem of this fixed window or fixed resolution problem in STFT. So this is mathematical expression of the continuous wavelet transform. Actually, the signal that we want to analyze, site is the mother wavelet, and 1 by under root s psi t minus 2 by this is daughter wavelets. And by putting this normalization factor, we ensure that energy of the mother wavelet, energy of the daughter wavelet is actually similar. So this each daughter wavelet also can be used as a mother wavelet. So this huge library of the basis functions, and we believe that one of the basis function will meet with our requirement. So this is now overview of this whatever done till wavelet transform. So Shannon actually represented signal in terms of impulses by sampling theorem, and they have impulse also can be used as a basis function as good time resolution. Fourier represented signal in terms of basis functions like sinusoidal functions, they have good frequency resolution. And Gabor represented signal in terms of time frequency represent basis function, they have fixed resolution. And wavelet be represented signal in terms of multi-resolution basis function. So each time you have different resolutions. So you can see here at low scale you have time resolution, large scale you have poor time resolution. So this is one example of like a speech signal when you speak MATLAB, and here also you can see this wavelet, like a continuous wavelet transform. That is actually when you square like HTFT square magnitude known as spectrogram. Similarly, square magnitude of the this continuous wavelet transform known as scaleogram. So when you use two functions, wavelet function bump and Morse, so different spectrograms comes. So now which mother wavelet should be used, that is not clear. So here also in wavelet transform, we don't know which mother wavelet should be used, and what should be the number of levels required, number of bands to represent the signal. So due to that, now actually a new area of research is coming that was started in 1998 by Hilbert Wang and others from the empirical mode decomposition. So till now, whatever we have seen, Fourier transform, short time Fourier transform, wavelet transform, the basis functions which we use to represent the signal, they actually we make them from our side, we design them from our side. They are man-made basis functions. Now new direction of research is coming where you don't need to design basis functions from your side. On the other hand, you will obtain them from the signal itself. Then we call adaptive basis functions. So here you can see fixed basis function and adaptive basis function. So fixed basis function, Fourier transform, wavelet transform. Adaptive basis function like empirical mode decomposition, empirical wavelet transform, etc. So this is the now due to this problem, stationary signal and non-stationary signal. If you see that we are getting same spectrum, so now you want to have unique spectrum for each signal. So due to that, we want to have time varying basis functions or non-stationary basis functions. So this was the actually proposed basis function in the literature. Whether it is fixed basis or adaptive basis, we want to have basis function like this, where time varying amplitude, time varying frequency. So this basis function is a general form of the sinusoidal functions. And here you can represent narrow band mono component signal. If you mix all of them together, you multiple such kind of narrow band signal, then you have multi-component signal, multi-component amplitude and frequency modulated signal that is suitable for wideband non-stationary signal. Now we will go one step further, that is multi-channel data. So this is the mathematical model for multi-channel data where each channel has a narrow band AM/FM model. And this is more general form of the multivariate multi-component signal where each actually channel has multi-component signal. So this is like wideband signal. So this is of our interest on this talk. And why we need actually adaptive signal decomposition, what motivation. So there are many applications in real life. One is such as the application in machinery fault diagnosis. And here we use multiple signals at a time to detect the fault of the gear. And this is an electroencephalogram EEG signal recording. We are putting electrode cap on the brain, and then actually number of electrodes determine the number of channels. And third application is electrocardiogram ECG signal recording, and number of electrodes we put on the chest determine the number of these leads, and they also give the number of channels, number of signals in the multi-channel ECG signal. So now, due to a lot of development in the sensing technology, it is becoming easier to record multi-channel data. And also, if you analyze them individually, then actually you are ignoring the mutual correlation with the channels, also mutual information. So due to that, in order to preserve this mutual correlation, mutual information, we also process using multi-channel signal processing methods. And this adaptive, if you apply adaptive signal processing method, then they are data dependent methods. So each actually channel will give you different number of components. So due to that, actually this is a problematic issue because you are comparing one signal, other signal, and each signal has different number of component basis functions, intrinsic mode functions, IMFs. So due to that, actually comparison is problematic. So due to that, we are actually forcefully we have to represent this signal using multi-channel signal processing concept, so that each channel will have same number of IMF, same number of components, so they can be compared for biomedical applications. So due to all these reasons, actually this multi-channel signal processing based time frequency representation, multi-channel signal processing based feature extraction, multi-channel signal processing based machine learning, these such new areas are coming in the literature for the research. And 1998, actually, this was the beginning of this method, that is Hilbert-Wang transform. So here you can see this is the signal. This signal actually we want to decompose it, and without designing any basis function. So we determine the maxima minima, and then we take average of envelopes obtained from maxima minima, and then actually we subtract that average of these two envelopes from the signal, and then we get the residual. And this residual needs to satisfy two basic conditions of the intrinsic mode functions. First condition is number of extrema and number of zero crosses should be differ at most by 1. So this condition ensures that whatever actually IMF you obtain, that like sine cosine function. And second condition says the average value of this residual is 0. So this condition ensures that whatever IMF you get, that is symmetric in nature. So by satisfying these two basic conditions, actually you ensure that whatever IMF you obtain, that is symmetric in nature, like sinusoidal functions. So we consider them amplitude and frequency modulated sinusoids. So here, actually, once you obtain this IMF, then for next IMF, we obtain the residual, and by subtract this IMF from the data, and then actually we repeat the same process. So in that way, we get all possible IMF. So here you can see this first IMF, that is the highest frequency and the lowest scale of the data. This is known as actually detail. And the last IMF, 8th IMF, that is the largest frequency or lowest scale. Or largest scale and lowest frequency. There is approximation of that. So Professor Patrick and Flanders' team has shown this actually decomposition is like wavelet decomposition here, and you can get the approximation detail components, and without designing wavelets and without selecting number of labels. So based on this, many approaches have been developed in the literature for multivariate, complex EMD, rotation invariant complex EMD, bivariate EMD, multivariate EMD, fast NEMD. And epileptic seizure detection, that is actually application we have considered in this work. So human brain is highly complicated, and this electroencephalogram EEG signals measure electrical activity of the brain, which is generated by the neurons. And epileptic seizure, these are the outcome of the transient and unexpected electrical disturbance of the brain. And during epilepsy, this all neurons, they synchronize together and generate very high electrical activity, and which is very serious disorder, and it affects around 2% population of the world. And EEG signals are commonly used for diagnosis of epilepsy. And in this work, we have used empirical wavelet transform based approach for patient-specific epilepsy detection using surface EEG signals. So you can see that human brain, it has 4 major lobes: temporal, frontal, parietal, and occipital lobe. And we use electrode cap, and the electrodes are arranged in such a manner so that they can measure the electricity of these all 4 modes. And one for an example, just this is 2-channel EEG data. Why we use empirical wavelet transform here? Because this empirical mode decomposition that we have seen in the previous slides, it suffers from mode mixing problem and it lacks mathematical theory. So EWT has been proposed to overcome these limitations of the EMD method. It has very simple 3 steps. Determine the Fourier spectrum of the signal, and then we segment this Fourier spectrum into different segments using EWT boundary detection method. Then we determine the boundary frequencies and then we design the wavelets. So we call them empirical wavelets as band pass filters. And here our contributions here, they include extension of the EWT method for multivariate signals. And then we also propose time frequency representation. So here you can see this multivariate data. And if you apply empirical wavelet transform to each channel, then it will have different Fourier spectrum, different boundaries and different number of components. So there is no mode alignment property. Due to that, we have suggested take the spectrum of each channel and take the average spectrum, and from the average spectrum you design the wavelets or wavelet based filters, and then you use same filter range to each channel. So that in that way you have same number of intensive mode functions. And then actually we determine amplitude, envelope, steadiness, frequency using Hilbert transform for each mode. And then these are the actually joint steadiness, frequency and amplitude from the all channels. And then we extended this for all frequency components. And this is a time frequency representation. We call it multi-channel data. And that is actually that we have used in this work. And then 3 features have been computed from the joint steadiness amplitude as follows. Mean of joint steadiness amplitude, mean monotonic absolute amplitude modulation change, variance of monotonic amplitude modulation change. Whenever you go to hospital, epileptic seizure, doctors generally see their amplitude, their presence of the spikes in the EEG data and their large amplitude. So motivated by that, we have also suggested such kind of features which has connection with the amplitude also. This is our proposed epileptic seizure detection system, and this had been studied on PhysioNet CHB MIT ScalB database from 23 patients, 23 channels. So if you use all 23 channels here, then actually the computational complexity of the developed epileptic seizure detection system will be high. So due to that reason, we have selected only 5 channels. So based on the following criteria, first channel with least standard deviation is selected, and after the other 4 channels based on relatively higher mutual information with the first selected channel. So once you have satisfied these based on these criteria, we select 5 channels, and then we apply multi-channel empirical wavelet transform or multivariate empirical wavelet transform to decompose it in terms of same number of modes for 4 or 5 channels. So each channel will give you 10 modes. And then we determine steadiness amplitude and frequency of each mode for all channels. Then compute joint steadiness amplitude and frequency of each mode. Then we access set of features from different modes, and then we will see some feature processing is also required to improve the discrimination between seizure and seizure-free parts of the EEG signal. Then we use machine learning classify, and that automatically classifies seizure and seizure-free parts. So this is one example. These are the 5-channel EEG data, and that is epileptic seizures case. And you can see time frequency representation. It covers all frequency, low frequency as well as high frequency. On the other hand, if you see 5-channel seizure-free EEG data, then its time frequency representation covers only low frequency part. So there is no absence of the high frequency components. So this can be used as a signature to identify the epileptic seizures in the initial stage in the rural areas, and it is one of the very important result for computer-aided medical diagnosis. Now our proposed framework, that feature processing also requires. So when you have feature vectors, then you can see here they are actually noisy in all these 3 features. So in order to improve the discrimination between seizure and seizure-free parts, we have suggested moving average filtering. And then if you multiply all these features from the all modes, then actually higher will be higher and lower will be lower. So that is property of the multiplication. So due to that, we have observed that the discrimination will be very good, and you can detect the epileptic seizure with the very good resolution, with the sharp peak. and that actually we call ultimate product and the joint feature vector. So this is the signal EEG signal, and here this manual actually raw EEG signal here, epileptic seizure is there. That is not clear from the raw data. When you apply this multivariate empirical wavelet transform based features, then you can see feature vector join 1, 2, 3, joint feature vector 1, 2, 3, and you can see nice spikes. So that can resolve nicely the presence of the epileptic seizure. And this is not becoming very high quickly. So this is very slowly it is increasing. So this actually initial part of this feature can be used to design the epileptic seizure detector or predictor, so that actually epilepsy can be predicted, it can be detected in advance. So somebody driving a car or doing some activity, the alarm will be generated and that person can stop the driving car and can take the epilepsy drugs and bypass the attack. So it is very useful to detect the initial stage of the seizure, and this is actually one of the important applications of the signal processing. That signal processing, can you do very good analysis of EEG signal, can detect the disease initial stage. Machine learning will classify. So that is actually signal analysis, signal processing. Can you give nice interpretation of the disease? So epileptic, where it is increasing, where it is decreasing, what is the stage of epilepsy, the initial stage or medium stage, up higher stage. So that all actually nice kind of interpretations can be carried out with the help of signal processing. Once you have set of features, then we have used machine learning based classifiers, random forest classifier in this work. And in this table, you can see a summary of the research work people have done, and they have used various signal processing methods, machine learning techniques. Many researchers, they have tried all channels. Some people not reported. Some people have used 6, some use 5. And our proposed method, which is 5 channels based on 5 selected channels and 10-fold cross validation, our method gives you specificity of 99.57%, 97.91% sensitivity, and 99.41% accuracy. So this is the conclusion of this talk. Proposed multivariate empirical wavelet transform is able to decompose multi-channel multivariate signal into meaningful components. And mode alignment is a very important properties of the multivariate decomposition technique. And proposed technique properly align the similar oscillatory components across different channels. So the proposed approach has provided good detection performance for epilepsy diagnosis based on scalp EEG. And the proposed automated technique can be useful for assisting you in this. And the computer smartphones with the proposed algorithm can be used for diagnosis of epilepsy in rural areas where we have shortage of doctors. And this talk is based on this our recent publication. So I request all the participants, in order to have more information about this work, please go through this paper. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Pasuri, for your nice presentation and very impactful talks. So I'd like to request the audience for any question regarding his talks. Do you have any questions? Okay, please come here.
Thank you for your presentation. How many items you selected out of 24 channels? In the channels you selected 5. So how did you do it? In this case, if we consider other diseases, for example, schizophrenia, what would happen in that case? What do you think? What do you suggest?
Actually, this first channel that I presented my slides with least standard deviation. So when you have actually epilepsy attack, seizure, it comes for very short interval of time. So if there is absence of seizure information in that channel, then it will have very standard deviation higher due to noise. So when you have epileptic information, epileptic seizure association with the particular channel, then it is like short temper information, short temper. So based on that feature, we have selected first channel. And once you have that select channel, then other channels are based on the mutual information. with that particular channel. So we have selected 5, but one can go for 6 also, 7 also, and 5 we are getting best results. Is clear?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have another question from another audience.
Respected sir, good afternoon. This is Dr. Kadina Paisal sir. Probably you know me, sir. I'm a student of Dr. Rishi Ashwama, sir. Sir.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Sir, only one thing, sir. If we talk about signal decomposition, one thing is coming to my mind, sir, that if we naturally decompose the signal, we actually don't know that how much division will be there or how much IMF it will generate. But if we want to apply machine learning or deep learning algorithm, we need to fix the input. So what is your thinking about this? How to mitigate this situation? It means if we allow to decompose the algorithm should run and...
Which decomposition? I am not actually properly. Which decomposition you talked in the beginning?
Sir, any decomposition methods, if we are not limiting the number of IMFs, like successive variational mode decomposition or any other decomposition, which is actually naturally decomposing based on the content of the signal. So, if that for different kind of signals, it will give different number of IMFs when all of the signals has been extracted. So the number of generated IMF will be different for different situations. So if we want to apply machine learning or deep learning algorithm, we need to fix the input or whenever we are calculating the features. So how to approach this problem according to your experience?
That is actually a very good question. So that is very interesting question actually. Thank you. There are actually many ways to look the data processing, look the signal processing. And in general way, there are actually, I will give you I will try to explain this with an example. So in real life also, there are actually generally 2 types of people in the society. One kind of people, they believe that life is a well-known process. It is deterministic. Everything is known to you. You understand. If you don't understand, it's lack of knowledge. So according to that observation, life is a deterministic process. Other kind of people, they believe life is a stochastic process. Nothing is inherent, everything is driven by nature. Probability is a good guide of life. Life is a school of probability. So according to that observation, life is a stochastic process. But there was one philosopher, his name is Mold decomposition theorem. According to that, life is a mixture of both. So similarly, whatever you see the data, it is mixture of both. It has deterministic nature, it is stochastic nature, it is actually mixture of both. So now how to handle the data using signal decomposition approach? So one of the work actually in the literature, they have shown that empirical mode decomposition can decompose data into form of stochastic, chaotic, and deterministic components. So now this actually IMFs, when you obtain, there are certain measures by which you can find out whether they're deterministic, they're stochastic, or they're chaotic. And based on that, actually, one should look for the features. And then in that way, you can actually you can obtain the meaningful information, because what people are doing, they are applying machine learning without understanding nature of the data. So decomposition is important part, and decomposition can give you various natures of the data. They may be stochastic, they may be deterministic, they may be chaotic. And based on certain measures, like many people use entropy measures, like probabilistic behaviors, probabilistic nature of the data. Many people use energy kind of measure, deterministic measure. Many people chaotic, that fractal dimensions. So the all actually they should be studied, and we should first find out which kind of features are giving better insight. That will give you more meaningful interpretation of the data in the machine learning.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do you have any question? Another question, sir, from Professor Hasnan.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. I have a very simple question for students actually. You are using a machine learning algorithm for detecting the signal or separate the signal. So my question is very simple. Which method shows the best performance for this kind of signal?
So, like which method is best for the
machine learning algorithm? Which machine learning algorithm shows better result for this kind of very tiny signal?
Yeah, that is actually in this work, this random forest classifier has given better performance, but it depends on the actually features, it depends on the signals. One cannot say that this particular machine learning is better. So it depends on the type of signals that you are studying, depends on the features, type of feature you are extracting, and that way actually it works. Like I've given one example, like when you go to restaurant, according to type of food, you select the spoon. If you are having noodles, then you use fork. And if you are having some different kind of food, regular food, then you use regular spoon. So it depends on the type of food, we select the spoon. Similarly, depends on the type of data, nature of the data, machine learning or signal processing actually useful. So that we have to sometimes you stumble, sometimes people like trial and error, they compare various machine learning classifier and they find the best one.
So thank you, Professor Basudi. In reference to the second speaker, okay, another question from Professor Fatta.
Hi, Professor Language. Thank you for giving us the time. I have a philosophical question. You see, like I also appreciate your method, like first of all decomposition and then machine learning or deep learning. But many researchers now telling why you have to rely the decomposition technique at first. Why don't you do the decomposition by using some sort of deep learning? Have you tried any decomposition, for example, multivariate Webley decomposition or empirical mode decomposition, an equivalent deep learning model that can perform similarly? The decomposition task will be performed by a shallow network. Have you tested that?
Yeah, actually, when you perform signal classification, using machine learning, it is fine. But when you come for healthcare applications like epilepsy or neurological disorder diagnosis, classification is one part. But actually, our main interest is analysis and interpretation of the disease. And that actually machine learning is like a black box. It is just giving you classification, doing a lot of processing, but we don't know what is going on. So due to that, actually, we want to have interpretation, we want to have more explanation of the results. Those then actually this new area of research is coming in machine learning, that is explainable AI and interpretable AI. And that is actually signal processing. When you combine with machine learning, it becomes more explainable. You understand what is the feature, which feature actually is significant, which feature is insignificant, and feature also can be correlated with the disease level. So I have shown you that 3 features I have extracted, and they are nicely connected with the epilepsy strength, epileptic seizures level. When they are initial stage, you can determine from the feature. Higher stage peak also you can see. That is actually severe epilepsy. That also can be associated with the features. So signal analysis is very important part to understand the disease, interpret the disease, and correlate the disease with the particular parameter. Machine learning, deep learning, they are just classifying. Classification is actually sometimes person himself or herself know that he is well or not, he is normal or abnormal, he has disease. But what is the explanation of the disease? That signal processing can be.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also rely on that. So that's a great answer for explainable AI. We have to rely on signal processing. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhatta and Professor Basuri, for your nice presentation. So any other question from audience? So if no, then we can conclude the session. So before concluding, we have a token of appreciation for you. So we will present digitally. So please. So thank you, Professor Pasuri, for your nice presentation and for your time and very impactful talks. So we would like to conclude this keynote session.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much to all participants for attending this talk. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So dear audience, now we have a break, lunch break and prayer break. After break, we will start the session 2:30 p.m. Sharply 2:30 p.m.
আমাদের লাঞ্চ হচ্ছে রেজিস্ট্রেশন কাউন্টারের পাশে আর কি ডিস্ট্রিবিউট হচ্ছে, আপনারা ওখান থেকে কালেক্ট করে নিতে পারেন টোকেনের বিনিময়ে। আর আপনারা লাঞ্চ নিয়ে আমাদের 228 নাম্বার রুমে দোতলায় খাওয়ার ব্যবস্থা করা হয়েছে আর কি, ওখানে বসে আপনারা খেতে পারবেন আর কি। সো লাঞ্চ নিয়ে আপনারা ওখানেও যেতে পারেন।
এরকমই থাকবে, হ্যাঁ এরকমই থাক, জাস্ট মাইকটা অফ করে